This is In Depth. With more than 80 days left before elections, soon-to-be Democratic nominee Joe Biden has a running mate, California Senator Kamala Harris. Joining me now is our guest analyst, Dr. Robert Dion. He's an associate professor of political science and Eigelhart Chair at the University of Evansville. Dr. Dion, you told us last week this really would not surprise you, so why did Joe Biden pick Senator Harris?
Well, first, you do no harm, and so there's been a serious vetting of her candidacy when she ran for president, and she came through that fine. And she offers a lot to the ticket. She's got the enthusiasm of being a former attorney general in California. She's an African-American woman, daughter of immigrants. She's South Asian. So I think that after a long, careful vetting process, she appeared to be somebody who was a very good pick.
And based on what you've seen, what kind of campaigner will she be?
Well, she ran a spirited campaign. It was short-lived. She dropped out last year before anybody voted in Iowa or New Hampshire, but I don't think she embarrassed herself. It was a crowded field, and not everybody was going to stick around. And she didn't have a scorched earth campaign that would cause her problems in the future, and I think we've seen that stance bear fruit now.
And President Donald Trump in the campaign immediately went after Senator Harris. Is the Trump campaign walking a fine line, though, in attacking her? What do you think?
Well, we know politics is not beanbag. It's a tough thing. It's a national blood sport. But on the other hand, I think there are some dynamics at work here that everybody needs to be very careful about. There's political science research that suggests that candidates are judged very harshly if they're mean to women. And so you've got that at work. And then we're in a moment of a serious racial reckoning right now. It's unmistakable across the country. And so to have the leaders of the administration behaving harshly to a black woman might end up being more damaging than possibly helpful.
And Joe Biden said you should not hold a grudge after Kamala Harris came out of the gate attacking him during that debate. It was as though, based on today's appearance, that never really happened, but that's not that unusual.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm old enough to remember that George Herbert Walker Bush was lampooning Ronald Reagan as being unfit for the White House, and his ideas amounted to voodoo economics. And then he ended up endorsing all those same ideas that he thought were ridiculous when he became a member of the ticket. And, not that long ago, Barack Obama and his team were saying that Hillary Clinton was unfit to be president, and it was laughable to think that she had foreign policy expertise. And the minute he became president, he named her as Secretary of State. So sometimes in a primary, you have to take all those things with a grain of salt. They tend to amplify or magnify or exaggerate differences that are not really that big.
And how do you envision the debate between Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Harris?
Well, they're both very capable speakers, very even-tempered, both very smart, both with significant legislative experience on Capitol Hill. So I think it'll be must-see television. Mike Pence, early in his political career, was pretty rough, and he actually published a mea culpa where he said it was called Confessions of a Negative Campaigner. I think they're just going to both be very ardent in their views, and I think they'll lay out the differences between the tickets. And I don't think it'll get too negative, because there's a chance that it could blow up. It did, if you go back to George Herbert Walker Bush and Geraldine Ferraro, there was some suggestion that he was a little harsh with her. And I don't know how much further we've come in the last 30 years, but trust me, I'll be watching that debate with open ears.
Underlining the importance of this decision by Joe Biden, he has taken a position, and more than a few analysts have said, that he could be viewed as a caretaker president, a one-term president. What do you think?
I think he's been very upfront about that it's not likely that he'll seek a second term. He ran for office in the 80s, and then he ran again unsuccessfully against Barack Obama and failed pretty spectacularly. A lot of people think of him as being yesterday's man. He's sort of stuck around longer than anybody expected, but the Democratic Party has united around him, but with the strong recognition that he's the last of the baby boomer generation, and there's a new guard coming up. And Kamala Harris, I think, epitomizes this 50-something new wave of energy and activism. And so I think as people evaluate Senator Harris, a lot of people are going to be thinking of her as a future presidential nominee, and that's got to be in the back of everybody's mind.
Well, Dr. Robert Dion, as always, thank you for your input on this, and we will keep in touch. You're watching Eyewitness News at 9.